for anybody that's doing walking beams, I never have found anything very good on the internet on how to remove these. And for other mechanics that might want to know, haven't done it before, would like to see the process, we'll go through it here. Just the pieces that are at least the most difficult that I've found when I've done it. Obviously, you're not going to be taking your hubs off and your spiders. You're going to be leaving those on, minus the tires. I take the tires off. And the towers obviously aren't there. I took them out because we're swapping out towers. But this is what the towers look like. Somebody had done something. This was a truck that we got. But you can see the cracks in it. And those, and we're got the other walking beams over here. The towers, they're the same towers, and the mounts, bushings are good in them, and we're swapping out hubs from California wheels. Anyways, that doesn't really matter to you guys. But I already got the end caps out of the eyes on the ends. In the center, you don't need to worry about. But there's a tool that you have to make. Or you can buy it. It's very expensive to get from Hendrickson. There are two different sizes of holes for these ends, for the bushings. Mine is a 7/8, and there's a tap. And it's, let me see here, it's got oil on it, excuse me. It's a 7/8 by 9 thread. And what you do is this bushing installs like such. It slides in all the way. There's a bolt that goes through. You can see it right there. Since this one is welded on their cattywampus mirror image. So we'll cut this, but that bolt goes through, and it goes through that hole, and obviously has a nut and a washer on it, yada, yada, yada. You take that out, you put your tap in, and you tap your hole. Then you make your end cap removal tool. Pardon me, I'm sorry I didn't have that other piece with me. A piece of, you just make it out of all thread. Very easy. Boopity boop, de boop. There it is. Okay. And I cut a slice right down the center of it. So that doohickey then installs. You screw it in. You can see where this is going. You slide over your collars that you make. I make several of them because on this inside one, you have to remove them and put some in. Those tight tolerances one. Then you have, and this is all just made out of scrap, as you can easily see. You put it on. That one's too far. But you would put it all on, obviously, and this would stay in. And you tighten that nut, and it will pull this out. And that's how you get those out. I have not had any luck doing it any other way. That is the way to do it. Torching is a horrible idea. You can put some heat around this, but I don't like heating them. Some guys might say do that. I don't think you should, so I don't do it. But definitely having your tires off. Obviously, you're not going to have your hubs and spiders off unless you really want to do that. Makes it a lot easier. But I don't think that's really cost effective. You'd be putting seals in and all that type of stuff that you don't need to be doing. But you can see that this side is a side that we haven't done. And obviously your towers would be in. but we'll remove that bolt, tap the hole, pull that out. Same on the other side. Same on those. Then the beams drop out. There's just a steel tube. Pardon that light. Let's go to the other side. There's just that steel tube that goes through. It's not fastened to anything. So once you get your end caps out, then we'll drop this down. We'll slide our beams out, and then we'll press out the bushings. If you do not have a 100-ton press, I wouldn't even do it. I thought that, oh yeah, well, I'm not going to be going to 100 tons, and I want 97. I've never gone that high. It was pretty sketchy, especially with this setup, but it worked. But we have a 100-ton press here, you know, and we went all the way to, we went to 97. So if you don't have, if you don't have a 100-ton press, I'm not saying that you can't do it, but just in my experience, I've been going up to 80 tons just to get them to move. That center one obviously is the big one to get, and that's the ones that go up to 85, 97 tons. The other ones, I think they only go about 60 before they start popping out, but I'll get that on video on how to press those out. There's other tools that I've made to press those bushings out that you'll need. You can buy them again, but they're super expensive, and we try to make our stuff here so we don't have to spend that money, and everything seems to be working good. But I'll get a video of me pulling out one of these end bushings, the process of it. This might be boring to people, so just skip on to something else if you don't find this interesting. And then we'll go on to pressing out the center bushing. And I'll probably put on hanging in the towers and the reassembly of this. I don't know how long the video is going to be. I don't want it to be too long because they get pretty boring after that. So anyways, talk to you later. We got to get the bolt out of there. I'll try not to block it. And you're not going to be able to use air tools like I'm doing. At least I haven't in the past on the blocking beams that I've done, because you'll have your hubs again and your spiders and they'll be in the way. But since I don't have that on there, this will be a little bit easier. These are 1 1/8" socket. There's the bolt that comes out. Now this is just WD-40, and I just spray some in there. Spray some on my tap. And these center up pretty good on their own, I've noticed. There she goes. Okay, we make our collar tool, slides over the bushing, and this thing gets a little worn. Threads are a little bad on it. Used it quite a bit, so probably needed to make another one, and it's still working for now. And I don't try to hold this on the end. I just throw my nut on, and just start threading in. If it threads in, I'm not too worried about it. I just get it pretty far in there. So you do put a washer on there. I don't know if any of you guys have done rear main seals on Cats or Cummins, but they say to put a little bit of lube on there, and it does help it spin. I don't know if it helps this one spin, but I still do. Makes me feel better. If I'm not blocking it, I can go. It's easier to go down on, that's for sure. And that's the bushing. And now we've pulled out. And then I just use my screwdriver. Sometime this season I'm going to put this one in the vise. But that's pretty much it. It goes right on in there. Sorry about my lighting, it's not the best. And that's the tool that I made. And you could easily make that. Now there is these on that diameter. There are ones that are a little bit bigger, I think, or a little bit smaller. And so you have to use a different tap for those. But the easiest way is just to remove that bolt and see what you have for bolt diameter. Because this one, like I said, I believe is a 7/8. Yeah, 7/8 9 thread pitch course. And then we'll do the same thing to this other eye back over here. And then those two up there. So a little bit of redundancy, sorry. And then we'll drop this out. I won't get any of that. I don't have anybody else to hold the camera. I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time here because I am on the clock. And then we'll take some video of the bushings and the tools that I made to press out these center bushings. So anyways, so these are the tools that I've made in order to press out these walking beam bushings. This is a new bushing. It's for the end eyes for the beams. This is an old walking beam bushing for the inner diameter of an end bushing, but it's a little bit smaller. It was a different bushing altogether that I got this out of. So I pushed this inner piece out because I have to push this rubber down, and I found that I have to push this inner piece out, and then I have to, excuse me, I have a flat bar, but then I push this whole piece down, and that gets me far enough to where I can catch this lip. This is an old end off of a piston, hydraulic piston, and it actually fits the outside diameter of this end bushing, and that's how I press it out through the varies of spacers that I have. This guy right here. So that's how I press out the old bushing, and I have a piece of pipe that I press it in with. They press in a lot easier than they press out. I put Never Seas on the bushings and on the beam. This is the center. You can see that I cut one side off so that I don't have to push this pin down through. I've done that before and it takes forever. I cut the one side off flush, and I've made another tool. This is an eye off of a hydraulic cylinder that had broken off, and it just so happens that it's the perfect, I had to do some grinding on it, but it fits perfectly for the outside diameter, and it pushes out. This one pressed out at 55 tons out of that beam. I've had them to where they are 97 is the highest that I've gone, and this is our 100-ton press. So I'll get some of these ones for the ends, and then I'll show pressing out the center bushings with these tools, or at least the way that I do it, and see if I can get it set up to where it'll just hold the camera here and let you see how I press it. Alright, 30 tons. So 30 tons is where she pops. So these center ones are a lot, they're easier to set in here, but they are not easier to press out. They take a lot of force. They take a lot of force. That's 30 ton right there. So she popped at 35. That's a good sign. That is a very good sign. Up to 25, and she's going down at 25. Oh, yeah. That is very nice. So we have the bores cleaned. We clean up any of the scarring that happened when we pressed out the bushings. Someone's done these ones before because we've got torch marks in there. But I put never sees on the bushing, and I'll put it on the inner diameter on the boss. And then we'll press it in. We'll get you guys set up here. Another critical, this is probably the most important thing, because up till now it's just been unbolting, pressing things out. But this is very important, and it's that line right there. When you press these in, it doesn't matter if it's the end or the center, they have to be perfectly centered in the beam. If they're not, they will not bolt in to your suspension. Because you can come over here and you can see that if it's off at all between those spaces, as if it's not centered in a line, you're going to be in trouble. So make sure on every single one of them that's the center, and you'll do the same thing. These are all the end bushings. Do the same thing with those. Measure your distance. Measure your distance here, total distance, subtract it by that total distance, and then divide it by 2, and you should be right there on how much you need to mark. But that's coming from a dyslexic guy, so take it for what that's worth. These are heavy. Don't do this. Yeah, I mean, we saved some serious time since we did your beams first, because all this stuff was, I mean, shoot, I think took me a day just to get all this stuff made for your truck.
Gee.
That end cap removal tool and all that stuff.
Well, it's not going to be any fun taking that dump box off that truck to get the back rear end out of it.
No, it's not. You're taking the back rear end out?
Yeah, it's, I noticed in the summer it's got a lot of clay in the splines.
Yeah.
When we changed the oil today, we checked that rear end, there was some bigger flakes on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're going to have to get this thing out.
Just run her till she blows. Run her till she develops. That's what Mike said to me the other day with